But I wanted to start off with a bit of Tottenham as we're joined by Henry this morning. And the crunch talks happened today in relation to Harry Kane. Bayern Munich are really briefing their press that they are confident they're going to get this over the line. I'm going to ask you a bit of a different question. What do you want to see happen from this situation today, mate?
So they're flying over as we speak. I think they land in the UK around the 1:30. The fee that Levy apparently wants is in excess of 100 million euros, which is about 85 million pounds. What I want to see from the meeting today is just an answer. We need closure now. The way I would describe this deal at the moment and Harry Kane at Tottenham, it's like trying to hold on to an ex-girlfriend. Like that, if they don't want to be there, if he doesn't want to be at this football club, and we can't hold any bad blood against him if he goes to Bayern Munich, right? It'd be different if he went to like your club or Chelsea or something else. But we just need closure. Like this has been dragging on for weeks and weeks and weeks now. German reporters turning up to news conferences wearing Bayern Munich shirts. Like Postecoglou in his first 31 days in the job has tackled an awful lot. But we just need closure, mate. Like it's just getting ridiculous. Like it's almost, I said to you a second ago, it's almost becoming boring. Like everyone, like from a Tottenham perspective, we need to move on. We've always been this football club that's had, one player in the team and kind of built around them, like Ginola, Bow, Gazza, Hoddle, Berbatov, and now it's Kane. He's been here since he was 10 years old. He's given us his best years, scored unbelievable amounts of goals, but the guy needs to go and win trophies. And unfortunately, right now, you're not going to do that at the Spurs team. So if you can go to Bayern Munich and potentially pick up a couple of Bundesligas and a couple of German cups, I don't think he'll win the Champions League there, but it's kind of like a long-term problem, short-term gain, isn't it? You want to win trophies. You go to a team that last year won the league title with Chipang Moting and Mane or whoever they had then. So I just want closure, man. I'm not going to lie. It's just dragging out to beyond belief, and we just need to move on. If it means sacrificing Harry Kane to get the money to go and get 2 or 3 centre-backs, then right now I'd bite your arm off for it.
Yeah, I said to Sav last night, and I said the same to you. I think that Spurs fans have kind of come at me this summer for saying this. I mean, I've had a free Harry Kane campaign going on for many years for different reasons, but it's got to a head and a point now where I think it's detrimental to you short-term and long-term by keeping him. And I think when those stories came out a week ago, the very positive Tottenham fans played it down as being lies. But when the stories kind of came out that your majority ownership essentially said to Daniel Levy, listen, stop cutting off your nose to spite your face. If you can get 85 plus million for Kane, get it. Otherwise, we lose the asset next year for nothing. And I do believe James Ducker on this. I do believe that story that there's almost an element of, hang on, Levy, you're famed for being this great businessman. Keeping Harry Kane for one more year, the likelihood of even making Champions League football next season with the quality of everybody else around you, first year of Postecoglou, what you've spent so far, is I know that the top 5 get in, but it's still slim. And if you don't make the Champions League, there's no upside to keeping Harry Kane. You then lose him. He could potentially join a more painful rival, which is even, from a optics point of view, looks even worse. From Tottenham's perspective, him going for 85, 90 million to Bayern Munich is the best of a bad situation, because you wouldn't want to lose him. You'd love him to commit and want to stay, but it's the very best next option, because then probably selling him to Man United comes next because they're not a direct rival. But then you run the risk if you go, next summer, definitely Chelsea would be in for him, and his relationship with Poch could turn his head. So
he'd probably join Chelsea.
I think he would. There's no doubt about it. And you guys need to cash in on him now, and as you say, reinvest it into areas that need improving. Who do you think can step up next season, though, and fill the void of the creativity and goals that come from Harry Kane?
Well, we've actually got a bit. I don't actually think Spurs fans know how big the problem we've got is, because Postecoglou doesn't play with wide forwards; he plays with wingers, right? And Son and Kulusevski aren't out and out wingers; they're more wide forwards. Son's known for his runs in behind. He's not known for taking players on and putting the ball in. And Kulusevski, going to upset a lot of people now, but he's a bit of a one-trick pony. All the guy wants to do is cut back onto the left and put the ball in. It's no coincidence that in pre-season, when we actually played wide men like Solomon and Perisic, we've actually scored more goals because Kane doesn't fit this system. So the harsh reality is, and as I said to you earlier, Richarlison fits this system more. And I'm not saying Richarlison's a better player than Harry Kane. It'd be criminal to say that. But the best way to score goals in this system, we'll put Son through the middle, Solomon on the right, and go and buy a left-sided player, a left winger, right? And then we'll get goals. Maddison will get 10 to 15. Son through the middle will get, I'd imagine, 12 to 20. Solomon will get goals. Richarlison will get goals. We need to kind of step away. If you look at the way Arsenal and Brighton do it, and other teams, Man United are a bit similar to Tottenham in terms of the Rashford was the main scorer. But then behind you've got the likes of Bruno Fernandes. It's Harry Kane, then everyone else. We need to be a team where we're not heavily reliant on just Kane. So if that means bringing in another midfielder someone who's going to score goals from midfield or another left-sided player, that means that when Harry Kane doesn't get injured going forward, we're not sitting here going panic stations, because we're not solely reliant on him. Son through the middle, I think, would step up. Solomon on the right, and then bring in a left-sided player. And then Son's no spring chicken now. He's 31 years of age. So he's going to need constant rotation with Richarlison. Richarlison through the middle, if given chances, will score goals. He does it for Brazil. But in a Tottenham shirt, last season, we weren't scraping that many chances. So Harry Kane was so clinical. To score 30 goals in that Tottenham team last year, in my opinion, is more impressive than Haaland scoring 36. But now we are going to create the chances because this is what Postecoglou is going to do. So Richarlison will score the goals. We just need to fill a left-sided player. And there's a lot of talk about Kolo Muani from Frankfurt, but they won 100 million euros. That's all of our Harry Kane money gone. And we're notorious for being awful in the transfer market. We are one of the worst footballing, I'll say it out right now, we are the worst footballing club at making footballing decisions in England, without a shadow of a doubt. I mean, look at it. We've been sitting there for nearly 6 weeks talking about Van de Ven. 6 weeks. In that time,
wow.
Man United have already identified and got Højlund. Here we go. Arsenal have got Rice and Timber done. Fulham have gone and got Calvin Bassey done. And we're sitting here twiddling our thumbs over a centre-back. We've already made a mistake in this window because the same as West Ham. When they sold Rice, everyone knows you've got 100 million quid in your pocket. So as soon as you want a player, add 20, 30% to that value. We should have played it smart and went, there's a likelihood Harry Kane's going to go this window. Let's go and get a left-sided player. There's a lot of players throughout Europe that you could snap up. But once again, Terry, we're not showing the ambition.
Well, Levy kind of set that precedent. I remember reading a comment from him when Postecoglou first signed that was almost, we've invested lots of money in previous managers and they didn't utilize it. This manager is going to have to get the best out of your academy or out of your young players. And that was almost like a foreshadowing that we're not going to go big again. It's interesting what you say about Kulusevski. And this is the problem that you may find at Tottenham short term when it comes to Postecoglou, is that you were buying players for the last 2 to 3 seasons for Jose Conte type managers who play a pragmatic type of game. If you're now going to play off the front foot, and this is where Man United have gone wrong for a decade, and we're starting to rectify it now, but we have to continue in this vein, is you end up with a mismatch of a squad with certain players that are good on the transition, good for counter-attack football, but then you have a manager that wants to play a more progressive style of football, and you'll improve, but it's sometimes hard, and it will take 2 to 3 summers to clear out all the players that can't do it to the optimum level and buy people that can. And I think that's something where Spurs fans are going to have to be patient. I think Postecoglou will get more patience, though, because he's going to play a pretty brand of football. And we all know, Spurs fans especially, you are like magpies. If the football looks good, if it's shiny and silver, a lot of your fans are a little bit more relaxed. Even if you're in the same position in the league as a pragmatist, you're happier when the football looks good. But he's going to need time. Richarlison's an interesting one as well for me, because how do I feel about the Richarlison thing? I've always felt at Tottenham that whether it's been Richarlison, Janssen, maybe not Vinicius, but there's been a few other strikers that have come into the club that have been second fiddle to Kane. I almost feel as though being second fiddle to Kane at Spurs is like a poison chalice, because you almost know that no matter how well you play, how many goals you score, how good your impact, you don't start. And I almost feel like that can become problematic for another striker with almost that, I'm coming on for 20 minutes, but there's almost like a nervousness that steps over them because I have to be world class in the next 20 minutes. Or if I start a game, I have to be the best striker in the league for the next 90 minutes. Otherwise, I'm definitely not starting the next game. That can become a problem. And I'm really interested to see Richarlison next year, if Harry Kane leaves, in relation to how he steps up, how he develops his game, and if he kind of goes on to that next level. Because last year was a disastrous season for him, really. But because of Kane and Kane's quality, he didn't get. And again, you banter people in the moment, but when you reflect with a little bit of hindsight and you take your bias away, he didn't get a run of games. He didn't get the opportunity to go, right, the next 10 games, you're going to be starting them no matter what's going on. You'll find your rhythm. You'll find your partnerships. You'll create the chemistry and relationships with your teammates and become a better player. So you do have a 50 to 60 million pound asset sitting there already. So maybe the club won't take the Kane money, as you say, and buy a new striker. It might be bolster the defense, maybe another midfield player coming in. That could be that could be the way forward for you. So yeah, it's going to be very, very interesting. We've got a super chat here from Lee, actually. Lee says, once Kane leaves, Spurs will flop like an old man who can't rise to the occasion for his misses anymore. Are you worried? Because I have seen some Spurs fans say online, if we lose Kane, we're getting relegated. Do you think you'll go backwards, or do you think you'll improve as a team when Kane leaves?
Unpopular opinion, but I think we'll improve. We've been so reliant on Harry Kane, and when Harry Kane has a bad game, Tottenham have a bad game. You know, Guardiola's calling us the Harry Kane team in the Champions League, and then Son drops a masterclass and we knock him out over 2 legs. Where was Harry Kane for both of them games? 2 of the biggest games in our club's history, Harry Kane wasn't there. And Harry Kane's numbers are scary, right? Very, very scary. But as you say, but we can't be that club anymore. We can't be that club. How many other clubs across Europe are so heavily reliant on one player? Look at Man City. Even with Haaland scoring 50 goals, you still got Grealish, Foden, or Mahrez when he was there, De Bruyne, Gundogan in big moments, Man United, Rashford, Bruno, Anthony, Sancho. There's no other team in Europe that are so heavily reliant on one player that when he does have a bad game, the rest of the team capitulate. And we will actually, I don't think Harry Kane can play this brand of football. He can't press. In pre-season, whenever he's got the ball, he's trying to drop deep and play that quarterback role. But that's what we've got Maddison now for. Maddison, when he had one of his best years, when he scored 30 goals in 29 games for under Poch, he was in the box. He never come out of the box. All of his goals were in the box, right? But now he's lost a bit of pace. He's adapted his game, kind of like the way Rooney did. Rooney dropped a bit deeper, started spraying balls for Van Persie. Yeah. We haven't got that now. You've got to be in the box. We've got Maddison, one of the best playmakers in the league. Like, other than Kane, I think he's up there from the top goal contributions in the last 3 seasons. I think him, Saka, and Kane. So we need to play that style of football. And what you're right in what you're saying is, Spurs fans, I mean, we've got one of the most clapped fan bases on the planet. I'll say as it is. 90% of our fans are absolutely clapped. But one thing that we do kind of settle for, we know we're not going to win major honours because Daniel Levy's main focus is off pitch matters. But if the football's good, we'll tolerate it. If we're turning up and not getting absolutely opened up 7-2 by Bayern Munich or counter-attacking against Sheffield United away, we're actually dominating the ball and you're seeing progressive movements and you're seeing a plan laid out and the manager's ethos get across to the players. Like, we've already played better football in the 2 games of Postecoglou than we have the last 4 years.
Yeah, listen, I think you could be onto something. I do think Spurs could improve. There's almost an element as well. Players take things personally. So they'll be written off by large sections of their own fan base. Rivals will go to the atypical response, which is, oh, you're finished now. It's like, okay, you're 10 years old, but okay, you're done now, you're finished. That galvanizes people. Media outlets will say it, and that can galvanize the team and make them say, hang on a minute, we're not a one-man team. I can step up. You can step up. Everybody can take more responsibility, spread it across the team. And I think that's why, as well, when people say Kane isn't a winner, I think if he goes to a Bayern Munich or a Man United or a Chelsea, you'll see Kane become a winner, because at those clubs, it won't be Harry Kane FC. It will be you are part of a club that you're not bigger than. And I think there's almost an element there of it will help him to, if he goes into a final as a Man United player, as an example, he goes into a final where there's expectation on him, but there's expectation on Rashford, on Bruno, Casemiro,
It's shared, isn't it? The
Onana.
responsibility
It's
shared.
shared across the team. Everyone's got to step up and perform. Where when Spurs have gone into a final in the last since Kane's been here, and I think you've been to 3 or 4, even semi-finals, is Kane going to deliver for Spurs? Is Kane going to get Spurs through? And for me, that's worse for a team than collect. It's not worse for a team than anything. It's bad for a team. What you need is collective responsibility.